minutes. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 4 of Great Race Plays right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along with co-hosts Pete Visco and Paul Harron. Thanks for joining us tonight. Gentlemen, before we get started, again, for those of you that are not familiar with our podcast, we are new proud partners of Santa Anita Racetrack. We've gotten off to a great start. The meet has gotten off to a great start. The handle has been amazing. Hopefully, we're going to help guide you through some winners in the Sunday late pick fours. That is the features of this show. We've had great viewership and listenership already here on Great Race Plays, and we certainly appreciate your support. But gentlemen, unfortunately, the story right now, and we welcome all of you listening or watching on the Santa Anita X YouTube channel, as well as the Santa Anita X handle. Gentlemen, unfortunately, horrible news coming out of California the last few days. The fires are not good. There are several fires in the LA area. The Eaton fire is the one that's closest to Santa Anita right now. It's affected Pasadena. Fortunately, has not affected the track directly, although the air quality is not good. And as of this filming, guys, here, Thursday evening, 9:30 Eastern, it is undecided as to whether the races will occur Saturday and Sunday. Of course, we do the late pick four on Sunday. However, Paul, they have canceled the races, actually rescheduled the races for tomorrow, Friday, and postponed them until the following Thursday.
Yeah, the reports are, I guess, it has receded a little bit, and the winds are going away from them. But it seems, I'm on the opposite coast, so I don't want to speculate. But it would seem like it would be difficult to pull off. But more important than that, as you mentioned, we talked about it on our show earlier tonight. We get caught up in the races, and we get some of us get aggravated very easily. I mean, not me, but other people, get aggravated very easily. But this is real life, obviously, and there are people who work at Santa Anita. Michael McCarthy was evacuated. The Blackers were evacuated. Fortunately, so far their houses are good, but this is real life, and if we have to miss playing the late pick four on Sunday, we'll, especially as we get older, we take these things in stride a little better. But most importantly, prayers for all the people out there.
I mean, Pete, we're seeing apocalyptic events that just look, I don't want to even remotely come close to talking about the who or the why or the politics. None of that to me really matters whatsoever. We have people's lives at stake, people that are living day to day in smaller homes, Hollywood stars. I mean, the fires don't care, who gets in their way. It just affects everyone. And it's just a major problem out there. And as you guys know, I'm a very dedicated weather watcher. I was watching the weather carefully this evening, although the red flag alert, which means that's a real fire danger out there for people who are not familiar, which means winds and dry. It is going until tomorrow. And unfortunately, I saw some forecasts that although it might calm down a little bit, it's going to pick up again the winds in general Monday, Tuesday, and maybe into Wednesday. So, Pete, unfortunately, this is not over, and who knows how long it's going to last. But, of course, thoughts to everyone and their properties and families out in the LA area.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot we can say that probably hasn't been said already. It's just for anyone who's, who watches or listens from that area, we hope you got out okay. We hope that everything is okay with your homes, your families, everyone. So from our podcast, stay as safe as possible, and hopefully you can ride it out. And if you were damaged by this, then there's not much we can say. I mean, it's a terrible situation. And again, just looking at pictures and videos, it's disturbing that that's actually happening to people when it really looks more like a movie set than real life, unfortunately.
And my brother lives in the LA area. He's fine. He and his wife are fine. They live south of LA, sort of by the coast where it's a little bit safer, fortunately for them. But until you're out there, guys, not everyone has been to Southern California. These canyons and these valleys and the terrain is serious. I mean, there's big steep undulations. There's some very barren areas. It can be a big mess. And unfortunately, with the way the climate is these days, that doesn't help either. But anyway, again, we hope everyone's going to be okay out there. We are going to cover the late pick 4. As of this moment, they have not canceled racing this weekend. We are assuming they will. If they happen to reschedule this card, then you can use this information perhaps in these horses. But we're also, guys, and we appreciate everyone watching. We have a ton of people watching and listening. We are, before we get into some comments in the chat, we are briefly going to talk about 2 races or 2 horses from last weekend because I think it's worth mentioning. Both of them are Baffert trainee horses. Before we do that, I want to bring up Philippe Hernandez Jr. Been watching, subscribed 4 months ago. Your collective picks are the best online podcast. Wow, thank you. And really entertaining. I've been constantly checking in from the Bay. No more GGF, Golden Gate Fields, but we are okay. Thanks, Philippe. Thanks for joining in. You've got a friend there in Tom Espinoza. Philippe, if you see the name Tom Espinoza in the chat, he's also a Bay Area guy. So we appreciate all of our wonderful California fans out there listening and watching. Really appreciate it. Who knows if Golden Gate will ever come back, but obviously the scene has changed quite a bit in California. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We are going to first talk very quickly about 2 Bob Baffert horses that I think really were the highlight of the weekend. And speaking of the power picks, guys, we crushed it on the power picks and on this show last Sunday. We gave it a bunch of winners. I thought Saria was really impressive, by the way, in the late pick 4. You guys gave out the winner of the Santa? Oh boy, I'm drawing a blank now.
Inez.
No, was it Santa Inez last weekend?
I think so.
No, I don't think it was actually. I'm trying a blank. Anyway.
I don't know.
No, anyway, you guys gave out the winner in the stake in the late.
It's hard to remember all the winners that obviously Paul and I are giving out, right?
Look forward, going forward.
Look forward.
Look forward. Yeah, nice
race. Yeah,
nice win for her. I don't know why I'm speculating. I got it. Actually, I don't have it. I have Saturdays. But let's talk very quickly, guys, about 2 horses from last Saturdays. They bring up on screen, and then we'll talk about the late pick 4 this Sunday. The first horse I want to talk about is Rodriguez. Now, this is a main break who guys got a 101 buyer. And before we even move on, this has to be mentioned. Bob Baffert's got a loaded barn. Wow, shocker there, right? I just want to give a little bit of caution, guys. Obviously, he's a Hall of Fame trainer. He's got a great stable. We all know that. Okay. Not every one of his horses that runs off the screen, guys, pans out. There's a whole litany of horses I can talk about. I mean, you could just go right out. Muth would be a perfect example, guys, who was like the bee's knees, right? In this early in 2024. The list goes on, right? The Nysos, there's a lot of horses. I'm not saying Rodriguez is or is not going to be like a serious Derby horse. I'm just saying, everyone, take a little bit of caution because sometimes these Bafferts don't always quite develop, work out, etc. for various reasons. However, that being said, if we don't talk about a horse that got a 101 buyer, guys, early in January, that's a 3-year-old trained by Bob Baffert, I really think we're doing everyone a disservice. Rodriguez, it was a small field. There's really not much to show, guys. He breaks in the rail. This is second time out and just did it really well. I guess the main question I have for you guys as we watch Rodriguez beating Rank, who, by the way, is a nice Doug O'Neill horse who's been staked, is horses that at Santa Anita, that wire fields and their small fields, do you want to automatically sort of, I don't want to discount, but automatically bring those horses down a little bit just because Santa Anita is so speed favoring and it's small fields? Or do you say, Pete, a 101 is a 101 and this is a very serious animal that needs to be, a possible Derby contender?
I mean, I think it's more closer to the second one, but you always have the question because you wonder what's going to happen if they don't get the lead in that fashion, or if they're on a track that doesn't favor speed, or if they're on the lead but they're getting a very contested lead. Now Rank was at least on his hip a little bit, and that's a decent horse doing it, and he sort of wore him out. I mean, you could see Rank was like, "Holy crap, this course is killing me," and so I think it's tougher though because you just don't see them. You don't see them generally against the big fields with stiff competition sometimes, and that's I guess that's the concern. Like if you had Rodriguez go head to head with, say, the horse we're going to talk about next, I assume, in say the Santa Anita Derby, then maybe you get a little bit more of a of a feel for it. But I do think that that's a concern. But I would never knock a horse down. I just feel like I would have more questions about them going into the Derby.
That's sort of how I feel, Paul, because look, there's no doubt this horse is talented. Okay, look at these fractions. I mean, I know it's Santa Anita, but 110 for 6, 123, 135 and 4. The time is the time. Pete, you've mentioned this a lot. You can only beat who you can beat. That being said, Paul, it's like the perfect scenario, right? I know Rank was pushing him a little bit, but still, it's Santa Anita going 2 turns with a horse that just breaks from the rail without any real issues to deal with and just wires the field in a big number. It's the kind of horse I'm trying to beat next time out, for better or for worse. That doesn't mean he's not a Derby horse, though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the 101 you just have to respect regardless of circumstance, right? That's especially now, you know, that
for sure.
That used to be, you'd think of going into the Derby as a minimum, but you know, the buyers in general have just come down across the board. But you have to respect that. You know, the fractions are interesting, Howard, because he went fast early and then managed to slow it down just a little bit in the second and third fraction. And then obviously, if you look at the internals, right,
there it is.
You know, he went a little slower, and then you know, the 135, as you say, 135 is, you know, there's 135. So
I mean, he's an authentic, right? He cost a lot of money. He's only a May full, which I don't think enough people pay attention to be very honest.
That's
me included. I mean, just obviously by age, he's not even remotely close to being a 3-year-old right now.
Correct. You know? Yeah, and if you, to put it in perspective, the first foals of the year have been born already. Here we are, the first week of January. I might say the first Cody's Wish foal is on the ground. But
I've heard
the first foals of the year have been born. So now imagine a horse being born in May, right? You know, that's 5 months difference. So that's a big deal. So, hey, look, we know that if Bob could get 20 in the starting gate on the first Saturday in May, that would take the suspense out of it, and it's really going to be entertaining watching it. And you just don't know with him, as I think you've said before, Howard. He could have horses in his barn that we haven't seen yet, who end up
doubt
at Churchill. So stay tuned.
Yeah, he's got. We don't have to feel sorry for Bob Baffert. He's got plenty. So it'll be interesting to see where Rodriguez goes. We have hundreds of people watching, especially on the Santa Anita X handle. We appreciate that. If you are watching on X, again, you might want to jump over to our YouTube channel for a lot of reasons. First, we would love for you to subscribe as we're getting closer and closer to 5,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. But if you go to our YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen, you can comment in our live chat, which is very active. We got a lot of people there, like Jim Pilars is here. We have James is here. Rail speed, rail wires downgrade, middle tracker outside to inside wires upgrade. Okay, so James would downgrade that effort a little bit. Again, it's very interesting to see how talented these horses are going to be and what they're doing moving forward. Now, another horse, guys, and this horse doesn't need a lot of introduction, who also ran Saturday. He ran the San Vicente, and this was a super duper impressive effort. Barnes absolutely destroyed Bullard, who a lot of people really like Bullard. I think there might be some reasons why, which I'll talk about in a minute, but Barnes did it very well. But guys, again, just it's my handicapping brain. I mean, you got to take everything a little bit within context. It was a 5-horse field. He did it really well. Pete, 22-3 for this caliber at Santa Anita going 7 is a pretty moderate early quarter. He just had a perfect trip off of the speed, but the way he finished, I mean, Bob, I hate to use it, but Bob did, that was me. Bob compared him a little bit to Farrow in terms of his running style and his body structure. Barnes is the 2 here, and Bullard is pretty much all out the 5. This was not even a contest. He blows by McKenzie Street, who's Romanesque is another Baffert, I believe, the 3. He looked like a serious animal, a ton more professional than he did in his maiden breaker at Churchill.
Yeah, just the improvement from race 1 to race 2 would probably scare some folks because the way he looked here, he looks pretty strong. You like a horse that we just talked about it. At least he didn't, maybe he was chasing a pace that was moderate. Maybe he was chasing a horse that he's just better than, but at least he was able to sit off and relax and professionally go by that horse and open up. And Romanesque, you talked about, Romanesque beat Rodriguez, I think, if in Rodriguez's debut. So that's a quality animal there. And we know Bullard. Bullard was near the top of some people's, early Derby top 10s by some of the races he does. And I'm sure you'll talk about maybe the trip he got and if he has any excuses. But this was
his
a really
leg action's
race.
a little weird. I think he switched leads okay, but if you look carefully, it's not. I don't know. I don't want to be too negative, but he's not the smoothest. The way he hits the ground is very aggressive. It's like he's actually leading out with his left there. It almost looks like.
Looks like it a little bit, almost.
I don't know.
Early.
I mean, he ran.
I'm not too worried about it, in all honesty.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll figure it out. It's just amazing what a horse can do from start 1 to start 2, just like you mentioned with Rodriguez, right? I mean, looks like a completely different horse. This horse got a 94 buyer. I mean, 3.2 million is insane. And into Mischief out of Farrow. I mean, he mentioned Farrow. I mean, Farrow's his grandsire. So obviously that's why he did the Farrow comparison. Zenden Racing, I mean, who knows? This horse, I think, is some ridiculous. Did I see, I think, 10-1 in the Breeders' Cup Future?
It was pretty low, right? Yeah.
I'll check it out. In Vegas, I mean, that's just, I'm sorry. I don't hate to go back to that.
No, but none of that has anything to do with whether the horse can win, and if the horse keeps progressing and looks that good, then the horse is a player. And again, we're going to see if we can get races with Rodriguez and Barnes, and you get Romanesque and Bullard and Journalism, and you get all those horses in the starting gate for, say, the Santa Anita Derby or one of the other West Coast races, then
that ain't happening, Pete.
I know it's not happening, but I'm saying at least if you get a couple of them where some of them have to knock heads, or if he's going to have to send, there you go. He's going to have to send some of these to some of the other tracks. So hopefully,
Arkansas
if you send one to Arkansas to the Arkansas Derby, then you're going to hopefully face some decent horses there, and then we'll have some of those questions answered instead of at least just beating up on maybe less or more inferior fields in California.
Yeah, look, Baffer's loaded again. I'd be shocked if he doesn't have a horse at the Derby. But again, you figure one of these 4, 5, 6, whatever is gonna work out, if not more than one, Paul. But don't sleep on Michael McCarthy, who is really, he's got Journalism, he's got some nice horses, and he's got some Bullard, which I mentioned before. He wants to go 2 turns. The way McCarthy was talking before the race, and we'll move on after this, but the way McCarthy was talking, it's almost as if he knew the horse needed one or just wasn't. He's like, well, we got to run him because, fill between this and like the San Felipe. That's felt like a bridge race. I think Bullard's going to run much better next time, guys. So we'll have to see. Anyway, let's get into the late pick 4. We're going to do this very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, as these shows usually about 30 to 40 minutes maximum. So we're going to go through our late pick 4 races this Sunday at Santa Anita quickly. Again, as of this filming, we're live here Thursday night at close to 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. These races are going as of now. None of us on the screen would be surprised at all if the races are canceled, and it would make a lot of sense if that happens, but hopefully they're not, and hopefully things are going to get better. All right, the first race, guys, is race 7. Here it is on the screen. Turf, 6 furlongs, 32 down to 28. Rail set at 10 feet. Fillies and mares. It's a field of 9. Let me bring it
By the way, it's not on the screen. Oh, there you go.
Yep, there it is. It's screen right now, field of 9. Sorry about that, everyone. We don't have morning lines right now. I'm going 6-5-3. Paul's going 9-6-4. and Pete is going 5-3-9. Let's just talk about one horse each, guys. Paul, I'll let you go first. You're going to go with Rose Dawson, the Calbred for D'Amato, and JJ, who's in for 32.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to sink Rose Dawson in this race.
Oh, boy. There we
boy.
go. Oh, very.
Oh boy.
I was going to go Titanic, but I figured someone else would. Very nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, tepid choice. I do I do like the fact I don't mind being where she is. You get JJ. I think she can close in this race. I think I'd be interested to hear what you say, Pete, based on the time form as well. But I think this race might be okay as far as pace, and I think she might be able to close here. Yeah, I think she can close here, and will be in position to do so from out there. She's pretty consistent. They're dropping her down a little bit. They had her in the Calbred Stakes races, and they ran her for 40 claimers last time in open company, and now dropping down again. So she's got a little class on this field. She is 6. Again, don't love her, but she's my pick of what I thought was a fairly difficult race.
I was a little disappointed in her last race. That's what knocked her down a couple for me.
Yep.
I thought she should have closed a little better, even if she didn't win. So that's why I was like, I'll put her more in the 3rd spot. But
yep,
I wanted to like her. I like the name. I love Titanic, and I like closers, so it's all up my alley. But I thought the kick was a little disappointing in the last one, unfortunately.
That's the expert. We have new people that are watching. Like, these guys like a horse because of a name. Switch the channel.
Well, I didn't say
we
that.
like the horse
I made
for a lot more reasons than that. But
no,
anyway.
I said I wanted to like her because of because of the name, but the handicapping takes over. So that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Pete Flavian. Obviously, he's going to be the Eclipse Award winner. If he's not, I'd be shocked. He deserves it at least coming up here soon. Speaking of that, we have an exciting show Monday night. We're going to give our opinions of the Eclipse Awards. I should have mentioned that, guys, in our earlier show. But Monday night, check us out as we give our personal opinions of who should win the 2024 Eclipse Awards. Song of Shadows, Miati and Flavian, Pete, has a lot of speed. Maybe she'll wire the field here.
Yeah, I thought she's sort of versatile enough where she's actually won from coming off. She's won wiring the field. She's done a little bit of both. She, from a time form standpoint, she's projected to sit sort of in that 2nd spot or be on or near the lead. Pratt obviously is smart enough to do whatever the race dictates that he should do. I thought was in really good form, 3 and 2 back, coming off took a nice layoff from March to October, came back in super form. Then they said, well, you know what? Let's stretch her out on the dirt. Why the hell not? And she lost by 20. She got on the lead. She lost by 20. Now she's getting back to what I think she should be doing. Do I think what she's better at? And you're getting the jockey upgrade. So a combination of all that just means that I think from a pace, from a jockey standpoint, and I think if she can recapture that form from 3 and 2 back, I think she's pretty tough here.
Real quick, because we have a ton more people watching right now than when we first came on. You can listen to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We have a tip sheet, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out below the video player. It's very popular. It's very inexpensive. It's very profitable. Yours truly gave out a nice $5 double, guys, last weekend with the 11 into the 4, I believe. That $5 double paid like $2.50, and we tipped that out. We also tipped out the $3 pick 3 on a bigger budget. Look below the video player. Also, please check out our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. And most importantly, go to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button in our YouTube channels. We approach 5,000 views. And since we have so many people on X right now, please go to our X handle. It's right there below, right next to my name tag, at HHH Racing Pod, as we're approaching 3,000 followers, guys, on our X handle. So we'd really appreciate your help with all that. Pete, go ahead real quick. I'll talk about my top choice.
I was just going to say, from a power pick standpoint, for anyone new, you can go on the website, and if you go on the Power Picks page, there's example Power Picks. So you could just see what the content looks like, and we even have the last 15. Plus, there's just a general example, and we do some for again for new viewers and listeners. We do specialty ones for say the Derby and the Breeders' Cup. So we do some specialty ones, and there's examples of those on there as well. So if you're interested potentially, go on there, check it out. If you like what you see, you could subscribe right through there as well if you don't remember the Patreon site. But otherwise, no, I'm good. You can go on to your horse.
And also, I should mention, my picks you can find on the Santa Anita website as well. It's under the analysis under the expert picks, Howard Kravitz, and you can see my picks for the late pick 4 and information about myself and the show as well on the Santa Anita website. All right, guys, Ivory Moon, my top choice here to start the pick 4 on Sunday. I think she'll sit right off of the horse just her inside. Fresu obviously knows what he's doing. Peter Miller excels guys in turf sprints. I know she's in for 32. She didn't run great last time. She didn't break well, but this is a pretty significant drop down to a much better spot. She figures to stalk and pounce. I like Ivory Moon guys quite a bit if she gets the right setup to open up the pick 4 on Sunday. Again, these shows usually are a little bit shorter, 30, 35 minutes. They're a little bit longer tonight because we did do some analysis of Barnes and Rodriguez before we went into our late pick 4. Race 8, here it is, guys, and I'll put the banners on the screen as well. Let me switch those. There we go. Race 8 is an allowance optional claiming 50,000, 1 mile on the dirt. Purse is 61K for older fillies and mares. Nice field here of 9. Again, we don't have morning lines. I'm going to assume the number 4, the Bob Baffert train, Halone, I believe is the pronunciation. It's Hollow May, I believe, or it's Hollow Nay, I think it's how it's actually pronounced. For JJ Hernandez, ran really well last time. I'm going to try to beat that horse with the one of 2 of Yachteen here, the one that's ridden by Flavian. I'm going number 5, Ultimate Authority. I'm going 549. Look at this. Paul's going 598. Pete's going 543. Wow, guys. What was about the Baffert horse? Was it the 93 buyer or the win by 5 or whatever the heck happened with the number 4 that we didn't like? Now, obviously, that horse is a major player. We're going to try to beat her with Ultimate Authority, Paul.
Yeah, I didn't expect all of us to pick against her, but you know what? We're going to see if in the same weekend we can all beat a Chad Brown maiden favorite on turf at Tampa and a Bob Baffert coming off an impressive maiden win at Santa Anita. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I knew the horse was going to be the favorite without the morning line, and you know, I mean, is she going to move forward off of 93? I mean, if she does, okay. Congrats, Bob. You win again. I lose. But whereas I think this 4's been consistent, run with good horses. Kinza, speaking of Baffert horses, ran a good
Accuracy,
second last time.
Copion. Jeez.
Yeah. Copion, who, yes. And, you know, Pratt sticks around. Pratt is the regular rider. I thought there were a lot of things to like on the 5, not the least of which is a little value because of all the money the 4 would take. So
I totally agree. And I love the fact, Pete, that, and I put this in my analysis on the website, Santa Anita's website, I really think sitting outside of the 4, breaking outside of the 4 makes a big difference because Pratt can look to his left and sort of, you know, be a little sneaky and cheeky and decide, well, if the 4 goes, fine. I'll just sit right off her. If the 4 doesn't go, I'll just take advantage, maybe put her in a chasing position. I think breaking outside of the 4 really does matter in this situation, Pete.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And another thing I wanted to note is the three best races results wise were on Lasix, and she's getting Lasix back here again.
Good point.
So hopefully, if that's something that moves her forward or keeps her forward, that'll help. And again, it's nice having Pratt making those decisions, sitting off the Baffert horse. So I agree with you there.
Second off the layoff, I see no reason why this horse can't improve. I mean, obviously, so can the Baffert horse, which again, I wrote down it's Halone, I believe it's actually pronounced. That's what Miramati pronounced her last time, or actually, no, it wasn't Miramati, it was at Del Mar, so that might have been Colmus. But anyway, look, I got a feeling these two horses guys are going to be in races like the La Cañada and some nice older filly and mare 2-turn races. Either one of these horses could, newly turned 4-year-olds can be major factors next year, especially on the West Coast in the older distaff division. We'll see how they develop, guys. Let's go ahead on to the next
By the way,
race.
Howard, real quick,
Yep.
Halone also was the one who moved up second 2 races back, got Lasix, then they stretched out and had Lasix a second time and exploded. So again, it's hard to judge whether the Lasix has the effect, but went from 2 sort of really terrible races last year to now is on Lasix. Could be maturity, could be growth. Who the hell knows? Could be the Lasix helping her out as well.
Yeah, look, she could be very tough, but we're all going to try to. I think it's going to be one of those like 4-5, 5-2 situations, guys. And I didn't see much else in that race. It's pretty much a 2-horse race. Race 9. This is a stake, guys. Nice stake. They're going down the hill. Love down the hill at Santa Anita. The La Cienegas, grade 3. This is for the girls. $100,000 is the purse. The rail's out very slightly. I don't see that really affecting the race too much. It's a big field though of 10. Morning line favorite, hard to say. It could be the number 5, Just Nails. I think it's going to be number 7, Nadette with JJ and Drysdale. If I had to take a guess, there's a D'Amato in here as well. There's 3 Doug O'Neills. It's very tricky to say who the morning line favorite's going to be. As you see on the screen, I'm going 9-7-5. Paul's going 7-5-10. And Pete's going 5-7-9. Pete, we're going to go to you first. Just Nails, 1 of 3 for Doug O'Neill with Edwin Maldonado, one of the best gate riders really in the country.
Yeah, for sure. And again, with this one, and obviously we talk about this configuration and bring it up on the screen there in a second. It'll pop up. We all love watching races this configuration, but one thing to look for is, has a horse run on it and has a horse been successful on it? And Just Nails has. So when you look at that just as enough, I'm like, at least this horse has shown the ability to run at this configurations paired up. Lifetime buyer tops in the last. I know we've talked about that sometimes, where that sometimes precedes a move forward. If that's the case, then I think puts right in the mix. Now, you talked about Nadette, who we'll talk about in a few seconds, but from a class standpoint, I think Nadette has the advantage. But this horse, just from a figure standpoint, is sort of getting into the realm where she can get closer to that. She hasn't hit the heights that Nadette has hit yet, but if she can inch up, and it's hard at 6, but she still seems to be getting a little bit better. So maybe there is some improvement there, and maybe it is this configuration that sort of helps move her forward a bit.
Look, she almost won this Senator Ken Matty, which was Breeders' Cup weekend, and almost beat Twirling Queen, guys. I guess the main question, Paul, and for everyone at home, is this horse better going 5? Now, she wasn't even running 90s, though, Pete, going 5 either. So it's hard to say she's better going 5 when she hasn't run. She's just improving. I do have minor questions, though, about the 6.5. And for people that are not familiar, it's the 6.5 with the asterisk means down the hill. Now, there's no 6.5 without the asterisk on this page, but they do go 6.5 on the flat. The asterisk means down the hill. She's done it well, Paul, but you're going to go with the number 7. Again, the numbers are not it. I think Nadette will be the favorite. French bred, Drysdale, Hernandez. Love turnbacks going from a mile to down the hill, but she is going to have to close from relatively far back in theory.
Yeah, the trip, yes. I agree with both things you said wholeheartedly. I do like the turnbacks going down the hill, but she is going to have to work out a trip. I am a big company line guy, Howard, and I just, that matriarch was loaded with. You just look at the top 3 there. Moofy is a real horse. Moira, speaking of Eclipse, was my vote for turf female, and I think she has a good chance to win it. There's Moira and Aset, one of the top female turf horses out there. So,
wait, no Godolphin? No Godolphin top choice for the Cliffs there, huh? With Cinderella's Dream.
No, I went with,
are you allowed back on the farm, Paul? Are you? They might.
Yeah, I voted for them for breeder and owner, which they'll win again for the 4th year in a row.
All right.
So yeah, it
company
is
lines.
Considering she is going to take money, it is a little shaky, knowing that trip wise you could get in some trouble. But
Yep.
the converse is, I think if she gets a clean trip and any type of reasonable pace, that she is going to be mowing them down late.
Yeah, she's going to be really storing home late. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Okay, someone responded to Gary, so that was good. Let's see. I'm just looking in the chat. Nope, I think we're good. Katie likes going 4-5-3 in, I believe that's this race. Yeah, guys, I this is one of my top plays. I'm going to take a bit of a stand here in this race. I like number 9, Miss Lizzie, quite a bit. Now, Miss Lizzie maybe doesn't class up with Nadette. I mean, if you look at their company lines, Paul just talked about it. Nadette was running in grade 1s, grade 2s, a little grade 3. Miss Lizzie, sure, she's been in stakes with some restricted company. I'll tell you what, guys. If you look at her running line, she's really good down the hill. She's run 5 times down the hill, twice, 5 for 5 in the money. She has the same kind of profile, Paul, as Nadette, but I think she's going to be a bigger price, and maybe, just maybe, she's got a little more upside. Now, she's only run twice since May. I'm slightly concerned about that. She looks like she's working well. She gets Frankie. Frankie's never been on her. So this is sort of my Nadette 2.0, Paul, if I may not, I don't want to be too disrespectful to the connections here, but I think we're going to get a better price. I think she fits very well here, Pete. There's enough speed, and so I'm going to go a little bit with Miss Lizzie, who you have third, Pete.
Yeah, she was sort of on the close to the A level,
I
or
like the
actually on the
turn
A
back
level.
again.
For me, yeah, I like this. I like the races at 6.5. Her lifetime buyer top and her lifetime time form top going down the hill here. Yeah,
Yep.
the last 2 were a little disappointing. You just would have liked to see a little bit more, even though they were going a mile, and maybe she doesn't seem to love that as much now. But I agree, and I do like the Tory going down the hill. He seems to navigate going down the hill pretty well. Not that he doesn't navigate a lot of things.
I like
well.
the Tory anywhere, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But I mean, I think going down the hill, I like that change because I think he's pretty comfortable there. But again, you're going to need a little. There's not a ton of pace here, if I remember, in this race, and that was the biggest concern with this horse and Nadette for me was, will they have just too much to do?
Well, remember, everyone, that the outer posts are much better going down the hill because of that weird right-hand turn that they take. It does matter a little bit. And so even though Nadette is inside of my top choice, you want to be a little bit further outside. Does 2 gate posts matter? Two slots over? I mean, not really, but outside definitely better than inside. Let's end the pick 4, guys. It ends with a nice optional allowance 50K for the Calbreds. Sprinting, going 6 furlongs on the flat turf course. Again, we do not have morning line favorites, but you can see the field of 9. Let's put our picks up on the screen to close out what we hope will be the late pick 4 on Sunday. I'm going 4-8-2. Paul's going 8-2-4. Wow, look at this. And Pete is also going 8-2-4. So, guys, not only are we going with the same 3 in a field of 9 without morning lines, without discussion, the paisans of Paul and Pete are both going exactly the same. So, Pete, why don't you talk about Triple Diamonds coming off a maiden win for Glatt and Mr. Kimura?
Yeah, this was that was a nice run. Now we're going from 5 furlongs. We're stretching out a little bit to 6, but that was a pretty nice. That was a pretty nice debut. I think if I remembered correctly, just looked fine doing it.
Should we watch it?
Yeah, sure. Might as well throw it up.
Watch it.
Yeah,
this
why
is
not?
The 6 horse, relatively slow fractions, was facing a 3-5 show. Sorry, 3-5
7-1
shot. Yep. Excuse me. Got a perfect trip, but did again go by a big favorite here and did it pretty well. And I mean, you couldn't ask for a better trip. By the way, if this quarter is right, Pete, 23-4 is pretty damn slow.
Yeah, it is. But, in some cases, you just look for, I don't mind when a horse can sit off. And again, it's not like she explodes down the lane or anything, or does anything, or he, I should say, does anything super impressive. But again, I didn't love the rest of this field. I just think from a figure standpoint, he has the best debut buyer in the field. He has the best debut time form in the field. So any move up from that sort of, I think, pushes him sort of a notch below, I should say a notch above the rest of the field here.
I do like
20.
the
Oh, go
7
ahead.
clear. They were 7 clear of third. So
Yeah, they
maybe
pulled
the field
away.
didn't come back. Let's look at the next race. Well, we don't. Yeah, oh boy.
It was no good.
There
No,
it
it
is,
was no
Paul. You
good.
paying attention? 32-19. How many points is that decline there,
Yeah,
sir?
but that's only
Well,
one, so the average
look
is
at
good, though, right?
look at the
average
Vino
is good.
horse. Yeah,
But then the
There
other
you go.
ones, hey, the 0 to 31 guys, the 0
That's a pretty
buyer.
big move
So
forward.
look, not a great field, but did it well and was 7 clear and it's got upside. That was only his first start, obviously, Pete.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking for here. Some of the other
Yep.
ones have sort of showed what they are already, and they're not that great.
Yep.
So I think at least this one looks like maybe there's a little bit of upside from here. That if we can get that improvement, I
Okay.
think maybe is a little bit. I'm assuming the odds are going to show that as
Yep.
well. I have to imagine it's going to be a pretty decent favorite.
Perhaps the speed of the speed. Why don't you talk about the 2, Paul? Frank Bullitt. This is a Grazen gelding out of a tribal rule mare, so a lot of speed here. Didn't show it in the first start. Boy, did he showed in his second start. Is trying turf for the first time. The turf influence pretty good. I mean, Wink and Wish was
Not
a
bad.
nice turf
Yeah.
horse. There's definitely a little bit of sprinty turf. I mean, these are cowbreds. They don't have to be superstars. You got to figure Tyler Bays is just going to gun and to try to wire this field.
That's exactly what I figured, Howard, and that's why I'm. If the race plays out the way I think, it's the 8 catching the 2. Yes, I thought there was some pedigree there, as you pointed out. I think Bazes will be aggressive, and no reason not to be aggressive. He was last time, wired the field on dirt. Now he goes over to the turf. He's inside. Yeah, so I think. Bays is struggling, but which might be more reason why he'll be aggressive. I think he just puts his horse on the lead and hopes he can take him all the way.
Not too familiar with Debbie Winnick, I believe. I
am not either.
apologize. But
Yeah.
she is 23% and did a lot of her good work up at Golden Gate. We've talked about this, guys. We're going to see horses coming down from Northern California quite a bit. I'll wrap up our picks, and then we'll go with our best bets. Number 4, guys, Cali Cat, Sadler, and Pratt. Obviously, really good connections. Might be a little too far back. I'm slightly concerned, but Pratt's not an idiot. This Horonis Racing Ridgeling by American Fair out of a More Than Ready mare, guys. Already won on the turf going a mile. The Zuma Beach was too much against some nice horses. Cutting back in distance, working very well. My gut feeling is the most talented horse in the race by a lot. I'm not sure, but this horse just to me is extremely logical and gets the right trip. I think he has a big chance to win. If this was 5 furlongs like Del Mar, guys, I'd be more concerned, but the 6 furlongs of Santa Anita, I think will hit this horse right between the eyes. And this is probably a prep for something longer. But that being said, I think Cali Cat, the number 4 for Flavian and Horonis Racing, absolutely fits here. John Sadler, the trainer. Let's go to our best bets, guys. Then we'll wrap up the show. Again, we really do appreciate everyone watching and listening. We are hoping that they run Sunday. But again, most importantly, we are wishing all you out there in the LA area, especially to please stay safe and take care of your families and whatnot in this somewhat dangerous, not somewhat, clearly dangerous times out there right now with the fires. Paul's best bet, he's going to race 8. He's doing a double Paul 5 with 5, 7, 10.
Yeah, well, I want to try to capitalize on if we can beat that Baffert horse, Haloni or Halone, however you pronounce her, with ultimate authority. So I would single that horse in that leg and play my top 3 selections in the next race, which are Nadette, Just Nails, and the 10 horse, the French-bred Lalne.
Yeah, we didn't actually mention, that horse is slow right now, but it's, what is the D'Amato? Is that Pratt too? I believe an outside horse. D'Amato and Freight. You think D'Amato can't move a horse up? You're greatly mistaken. I'm using that 10 horse in my pick 4s. We didn't talk about that horse, but we should have. Would that be Touchdown Jesus? I believe.
Oh,
right?
I'm behind, Paul.
What's
I'm
the score,
behind.
Paul?
Well, if you're rooting for Penn State, everyone's behind now.
Oh wow, that was a nice run too. All right, sorry
Nice.
guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
wow.
really
Notre Dame
grinding
took the
it out.
lead. Now, is their quarterback
Yeah.
back as we're watching live
Yeah,
here?
he
He
did.
is.
He's
Yes,
and he's
he
looked
came
good in the
back.
second half. Actually,
Okay, that's big. All right.
that knock on the head might have improved his throwing in the second half.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I'm not going to touch that one. Anyway, Pete, politically correct as usual. Pete's going race 7. Hey, a pick 4. Wow. You throw out a pick 4. Pete's going 3-5 with 4-5 with 1-3-5-7-9 with 2-8. My Spidey math sense is telling me that's 420. That is a $20, 50-cent pick 4 ticket. And then you're putting a win bet possibly on the number 8 in race 10, correct?
Yes, that's Triple Diamonds, who we talked about again. I think that's
Nice.
sort of odds dependent. I like to see what that comes out at, and not much to say about the pick 4, except in the stakes race and the La Cienegas. I think it's quarter wide open because I think Nadette and the 9 horse that you talked about, Miss Lizzie, I think those horses will be coming off the pace. So if something happens and Nadette's the favorite, maybe we could beat that. Maybe we could beat them with the price. The one might be pretty long. Needlepoint coming from overseas. I thought that one was a little bit sneaky. Did you have
I
that
watched
one?
some replays of Needlepoint.
Yeah, me too.
Not a huge fan.
No, I wasn't.
Don't want to be
You know what?
disrespectful. That's a
No,
really
no,
quick
no.
turnaround coming from overseas. That was a 4-horse field that Needlepoint beat
It
last
was
time.
weird. Yeah.
Did it fine. I'm not using that one, but I did watch that replay of the last one from Europe.
I did
Lingfield,
too,
right?
and I was like,
Lingfield?
"Yeah, what the hell? Why not?"
I
Yes,
think.
yes,
Yeah.
Linkfield. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
I
look, it's
thought,
a private purchase. I mean, the horse is probably very well meant. I'm just not
yeah,
sure Sunday would be the
picks up
day, but
recently, which I don't mind,
why
and
not?
again at a price maybe from the rail, we'll see if something funky could happen.
Yeah. Interesting horse coming over from Europe. Before I show my best bets, I want to just quickly promote the fantastic 15% low takeout for the $3 pick 3 and the $5 double. Let's take a look at more about these special wagers at Santa Anita.
Now offered at the Great Race Place. $3 late pick 3 featuring the last 3 races. $5 late double on the last 2 races. Both with a player-friendly 15% takeout. Every race day at Santa Anita Park.
The takeout, guys, is 15%, and the handle, hats off to Santa Anita, guys, for Nate Newby and everyone out there for making some changes. The handle's been fantastic out there, and you got to believe it's somewhat because of the wagering menu. So I tip my cap to people, Paul, that are willing to take a chance and do something different, at least than they've done before. I think that's fantastic. My best bet, guys, is very simple. I'm going to go with the number 9 in race 9 as I'm trying to get the name in the Las Cienegas. That's the Miss, sorry.
Miss Lizzie, right?
Lizzie.
There you go. Miss Lizzie. I think she's going to be 6-1, somewhere around there. You mentioned the speed. Maybe there's not enough speed. I mean, you know how much Flyer is going to go, the number 6, but I'm hoping there's enough speed in that race, or Frankie's smart enough. Frankie's pretty aggressive, guys. He can maybe ask a little bit and get her a little more in the game. I'm just going to try to beat Nadette and Just Nails and some others, guys, and go with some prices there. Final thoughts. Again, we've already spoken. Hopefully the Flyers are going to settle down and they're going to race, but if they don't, we just want everyone to be safe. Any final thoughts, Pete and Paul, as we wrap up the show?
I'll just say quick. You mentioned the new bets and stuff at Santa Anita. Obviously, the partnership with the HHH Racing Podcast is what's really boosting the handle. We don't want to take all the credit, but we'll take as much as possible.
Well, it worked for the HHH podcast.
I wasn't going to say that, Paul. For the viewers and listeners who are new to this, it used to be a very floundering podcast at the beginning. Howard was doing it on his own. He was sort of struggling, a couple views here and there. Then he asked Paul and I to come on, and now we've become the conglomerate that we are, and we're partnering with Santa Anita. We're doing this, we're doing that, and it's all thankful to the 2 people on this side of the screen here. So we didn't want to mention that, but we will, and we're assuming Santa Anita, you're welcome for boosting your handle as well. So you're welcome.
I certainly appreciate you guys coming on. By the way, we have an anniversary coming up soon. Me, because someone started this podcast before the great Pete and Paul came on. Somehow we managed to do like 130 shows before you guys came on. But all seriousness, Pete and Paul have been a great addition. Guys, we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary. Can you believe it's going to be 4 years coming up at the end of this month, and we'll talk about it. So this is the fifth season of the HHH Racing Podcast. Cannot be any prouder. Thanks everyone for watching. Again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, especially if you're new. Follow us on X. Check out the Power Pick tip sheet. It's very inexpensive and very profitable. You don't have to hear it from me. We are very transparent. We had a great weekend last weekend all over the country. And, speaking of all over the country, you might want to check out the tip sheet this week, guys, or purchase it because there is limited racing. Oaklawn's canceled. We'll see about Santa Anita, etc. We're going to cover Gulfstream like a glove on our Power Pick tip sheet. For my wonderful co-hosts and saviors of the HHH Racing Podcast, Pete Visco and Paul Howard. This has been your host, Howard Kravitz. Episode 4 of Great Race Plays. Please stay safe, everyone out there in LA. Crush your bets at the Great Race Place. Take care, everyone. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.